following breaking news this afternoon from Atlanta, where police say the final inmate from a New Orleans jailbreak has been captured. Derrick Groves was taken into custody after a brief standoff with officers. Now, this comes months after Groves and 9 other inmates broke out of the New Orleans Parish Jail back in May. The New Orleans DA described the community's reaction in just the last hour.
Everybody is sighing a collective sigh of relief, knowing that a person who was facing multiple life sentences is now in custody, and we look forward to holding him accountable for the crimes that he was already convicted of and the other crimes that he committed.
All right, I want to bring in CBS News national reporter Katie Weiss. Katie, you've been following this story for months. We've been with you following this story. What can you tell me about Groves' arrest?
Sure. Well, you know, it started like something out of a movie back on May 10th. No one can forget that day, actually May 17th rather. But then it really ended just as dramatically. We have seen that U.S. Marshals Task Force captured Derrick Groves today. He was the last of 10 escaped inmates. They captured him at a home in Atlanta. Take a listen to how they did it.
We deployed a number of canisters of gas to help move him throughout the house, which he moved to the basement of the house. Soon after, Clayton County K-9 was deployed in the crawl space of the location and found him in that crawl space.
Now you might remember Derrick Groves was convicted of 2 counts of murder. So certainly this was one of the inmates that officials really had their eye on. And they did say that no one else was inside the house at the time.
All right, Katie, all 10 inmates have finally been captured. So what happens now?
Yeah, so actually I think at this point now we just wait for Derrick Groves to be extradited back here to New Orleans. But, you know, again, it was a slow process getting all 10 of these inmates captured. And I think also the next step is making sure that the jail is fully secured. You might remember that the inmates even taunted the officers as they left the facility back in May, writing messages on the wall saying too easy. They were laughing about how you know, lacking of security this facility was. And I even interviewed the sheriff.
I'm looking at this right now, honestly, and I still can't tell you how they got out. I seen them shaking the door. I seen them doing a bunch of stuff. They said that they pulled the plumbing or the toilet off the wall or something like that. I still don't see how they got out. That right there, that picture right there, that don't tell me nothing. And maybe I'm just slow. Maybe I'm a C student, but I don't see it. I don't see how they got out.
Right now, the fugitive captured in Georgia after escaping from a jail in New Orleans is in court. 11 Alive, Stefanich Haynock joins us live from the Fulton County Jail. And Steph, this comes after he was on the run for months. What's happening now?
Yeah, that is right, Ariana. We know the extradition hearing is expected to begin at any moment for 28-year-old Derrick Groves. Groves was located and taken into custody yesterday after he was found inside of a home in southwest Atlanta. This is a live look inside of the first appearance courtroom here at the jail right now.
Dog look defeated, don't he? He shouldn't look defeated. He shouldn't look defeated at all. He should feel very much relieved that he's going to prison. Dog, you had part of spring, you had May through October, June, July, August, September, October. Bro, you was out for 5 months. You have 5 months of freedom. Y'all know this guy's supposed to be locked up for life, right? He already been convicted for murder. His sentence, everybody was focused on a light-skinned dude. I don't know what this is. Is it Drake season or what? Everybody was focused on a light-skinned dude. They found a light-skinned dude with the braids that had problems with his baby mama ASAP. Now him, he had 5 months. He had a full summer, part spring, part fall, and he was a murderer. He somehow made his way all the way up into Atlanta, and he up here looking defeated.
discussions will surround plans on if and when Groves will be transported back to Louisiana. Groves' arrest comes nearly 5 months after he's been on the run after he escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail back in May. We know Groves was taken into custody, and we were there. We had our cameras rolling after the brief standoff with law enforcement on Wednesday. He was eventually located in a crawl space in the base.
That's a predator. I don't know if did you see the kiss?
Look. With law enforcement on Wednesday, he was eventually located.
Yeah, dog. That's the new fleece. That's the new fleece right there. I don't trust people like that, bro. Look at him. Make him say, nah, dog. I don't trust people like that. You see how he just blew that kiss? He not tripping. He not tripping. He felt like, you know what? I fought the good fight. Now I'm about to spend he about to spend 2 life sentences in jail. Man, I'm not going with it. You know what? I got any tickets? Let me call Rita and see if I got any tickets left that I haven't paid. I definitely got to make sure that all of my tickets is paid up because I'm not trying to hang out. When I see people do stuff like that, he about to go to jail for life. He found the camera and he blew a kiss. This is a different type of criminal out here. It's a different type of criminal out here. They not remorseful. They not begging. They not pleading. They not tripping. He had a whole summer. He went. Where did you think he was going to get caught? Where did y'all think? Y'all thought he was going to be hanging out in New Orleans like his homies? It was only 2 places that he was going to be at. He was either going to be in Houston or he was going to be in Atlanta. Why? Because that's where all the black people go. They all go to Atlanta. So he thought he was just going to blend right in, have a good time, maybe spend 2-3 summers, you know what I'm saying, DJ Mustard, and get it in. Of all the places that you could have went to, he could have went to Montana and been living on a ranch. You know what I'm saying? He could have went to Wyoming, where Kanye used to be, where it's not much out there. There's no visibility, no nothing. Harsh winters, right? Cold summers, but you free. Living off the land. Could have went anywhere. Could have went to Idaho, not Boise, right? Could have went to Iowa. Could have went to a lot of places, but he went to Atlanta. He didn't try to get to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? He didn't try to make it down there, Cuba. He didn't get to Cuba. He didn't get to none of that. He said, I'm going to go to Atlanta. ATL shouted and had a whole summer.
In a crawl space in the basement of a home on Honeysuckle Lane. Groves and 9 other inmates at the Orleans Parish Jail escaped from the facility. Groves is now the last of the escaped inmates to finally be captured. We also know before escaping, Groves was already serving a life sentence for a murder charge dating back to 2018 when there was a shooting during a Mardi Gras block party. So that's a little bit of his history before he escaped. Again, that hearing is starting right now.
Jay Ben said, who live in the Dakotas? Never heard of anybody in the Dakotas. That's the point. That's the point, Jay Ben. That's the whole point and the purpose of you escaping is that you want to go in places that you've never been before so that you don't get caught by people that you ain't never seen before.
And we will have more Ariana in the next half hour on what is being said. All right.
Yeah, dog had a crazy summer. A super crazy summer.
Sheriff a couple months ago, and she admitted that she was still working on getting, stronger locks in many of the doors across the facility. So those are some of the next steps. But in the meantime, the Attorney General for Louisiana, Liz Murrill, she is also conducting a separate audit and investigation of the jail's security measures and into exactly how these men could have broken out in the first place. She issued a written statement today saying convicted murderer Derrick Groves has finally been recaptured in Atlanta after a brief standoff. He now faces charges for his role in the escape, and I will ensure that he is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Excellent work by all of our law enforcement partners who have been working so hard for this outcome the past few months. I especially want to thank my investigators with the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation for their.
This was really about embarrassment. That's what this was. This was about nothing more than embarrassment, right? The reason that they wanted to catch him is because they didn't want this guy to continue to embarrass the law. They didn't. It's embarrassing not to be able to catch this guy. You know how he got caught? A snitch. Somebody told on him. The same way that y'all can clean up y'all community. Somebody told on him. Probably owed somebody some money. They knew, you know what, dog? That's cool. You going back to prison. We'll never see from you again. Maybe he tried to holler at somebody's girl, you know. Maybe he wanted to get it bust down for a real one. I'm sure he got some box. What I'm really curious about is what happens to all of the people? Because, see, remember, they was throwing all of them people in jail. There's baby mamas, girlfriends, mamas, cousins, sisters, homies. Anybody that was helping any of these people, they were throwing them in jail. They wasn't playing no games, no pass go, don't collect $200, no none of that. They were throwing everybody in jail. So what I want to know, A, is whose house he was in, who he was helping, and what's going on. That's what I want to know. Who helped him? Because, dog, you can't get from New Orleans to Atlanta and escape for 5 months and not have no help. Not have no help whatsoever. You ain't got no income, no job, no nothing. How you feeding yourself? I want to know the whole story. Again, we were focused on the wrong one. We should have been focused on Derrick Groves. Instead, we was focused on the light-skinned one. They caught all of the rest of the ones. The rest of them, they ain't had no plug or something. You know what I'm saying? They was sleeping on the streets, trying to survive. But he had something to really, really go all in on because he facing 2 life sentences. And all he was looking at is sentencing because he had already got convicted. Stay free, y'all. The moral of the story is this: stay free.